Hi, my name is Graham Doyle. I'm from Newmarket, Ontario, and I've started the process of building out a Chevy Express 2500 Extended 2011. The walls have been insulated, and we've had a James Sutter, a friend of ours, build some cabinetry for me. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a tour, and we can have a look around. This is Fritz, by the way, everybody. The Vanlife cat. Very social. He seems to do pretty fantastic. He's still learning his borders, you know, where he can go and where he can't go, that kind of thing. So he still tries to escape, which is why I have to keep him on this. But you know, it's nice having an animal with you. It really is, especially when you're traveling alone. Not a whole lot to see, but you know, that's sort of how we survive. I'm finding we're going through about a bag of ice a day in this thing. But you know, eventually I'd like to have solar, and I'd like to have batteries so that I can actually run a Dometic fridge or something like that. But this is doing great for now. It's my coat rack, because you always got to make sure you're warm. So I keep those right by the door so that I can get them from outside the van. This is my closet here. I'm a guitar player, so I've got 2 guitars stashed in here, and I've got an amplifier here. James had this idea of recessing the doors into the frame to try and save space. But also with the fact that there's an air gap, it gives the moisture a chance to evaporate. I insulated the entire van with rock wool, and I didn't use any vapor barrier so that the moisture could escape. Everybody has different ideas on that. Got a drawer here. This is like all my electronic sort of stuff, you know, cables, whatever. Up here is going to be a fuse panel, and all my electrical will be in here. But right now it's just storage. Right now I'm just using the Jackery. I'm driving a lot right now, so it's actually doing the job. It's running the lights. It's running the Max Air fan that I have back there. Jackery 240. Basically what I wanted to do was build a rolling kitchen. So my van is basically a kitchen. I have an 8-foot countertop, which I've never seen in any van anywhere. I've ordered a piece of butcher block that's in Toronto, just showed up yesterday, that we're going to put here. We're planning to put a sink here with a faucet. Underneath here I've got, this will be a gray water tank. This will be a fresh water tank. When I built this van, the gentleman that helped me build the cabinetry said, just put everything in it that you want and we will build around it. And that's literally what he did. This here is the washroom. So in here, pee bottle, poop bucket. This is my shower. That's how I shower. This right here is just a general somewhere to throw stuff. Anything you got to throw, you can just throw it in there. I have some pantry items in case we can't resupply. You know, stuff, non-perishables. Right here, this is basically my entire kit. Pots and pans and all that kind of stuff is all mounted in here. Something that we did learn is, you know, when you go around corners, these things tend to open. So we put some extra latches underneath. And it seems to be holding pretty solid. It's 1-inch plywood. And then back here, I store a 20-pound propane tank. I don't know if you can see that. So there's hoses that run up that we can actually plug right into the stove. I'm planning to mount the stove so you don't have to put it away every time you're driving. Clothing is all under the bed. And because I'm still in build mode, I'm storing all my clothes in packing cubes. I don't know if anybody knows what those are, but they're all like little packages like this. You know, that's my socks and my underwear, and then so on and so forth. Where's the litter box, you must ask, right? If you look under here, I got the litter box right here. That seems to be working. I've got all my tools for working on the van here. You know.
What do you do to clean dishes right now?
Right now, I bought a table that we can set up outside the van so that all the grease and everything can stay outside. It seems to be working out really well for us. So you just wash your dishes and dump the water in a bush or wherever you can. You know, it's not so easy when you're in a parking lot. But then we eat out. So when I first got this, I bought it from a dealer in Toronto. It had about 210,000 on it. It was just a bare box. There was nothing built. What I did is I moved into it before I built it, which I would highly recommend to anyone starting this. Live in it before you build it so that you know what you need and you know what you want. And everyone's specific. And there's no right or wrong answers, you know. Then I had a friend of mine, Ian, who is a YouTuber actually, has a channel called Dan in a Can. He came up and helped me build these walls. And this is aspen. The ceiling is made out of aspen. This is just regular old 5mm plywood. And we just put up the rock wool, screwed the panels in, Did a lot of work on the floor. The floor has a piece of foam board underneath because it was important to me the floor was insulated. Not everybody cares about that. But the foam board, I have bad circulation in my feet, and this keeps my feet nice and warm. It also helps with the sound. It keeps it very quiet. The floor is just cheap flooring from Home Depot. But it matched my decor, so I kind of like it. I have a Wave 3 heater stored behind the guitar amp right now, but I've left room up here for a diesel heater. So hopefully I'll get that set up in the fall, along with possibly solar. It's important to realize, like when you have a diesel heater, that you need to feed it. It needs electricity, and you can't just. It needs a lot. So,
How long have you lived in the van for?
Basically since November. I got it in November. I'm a part-timer. I'm not a full-time van lifer. So I thought I would build it during the winter, and that just is not realistic if you're outside. It needs to be at least 10 degrees Celsius to paint, right? So I had to wait until it warmed up. And then I had a friend come down. What you see right here is about 2 months worth of work, maybe 2.5. It's a lot of work. I must say, van building is interesting, but it's fun, and and you get a sense of accomplishment when you're finished. Being in a low top in a cargo van, I can kind of blend in anywhere I go. I don't have the issues that people have with the larger vehicles, so I'm pretty happy with it. I was a little worried at first about not having a high top and not being able to stand up, but it seems to be working out for me. Well, basically, I decided when I turned 45 that I would buy myself a camper van. I'm now 48, and it was time to do something. So I actually went to a meetup with other van lifers in High Park, Toronto, and I got to see these builds in person. It's my ultimate bug-out vehicle. I'd say the biggest benefit, especially during COVID, is the fact that we can isolate in our vans. We don't need to use public washrooms. We can go wherever we want to go. It's freedom. It's literally the freedom that it gives you. Is the reason most of us are doing this in the first place. It makes traveling much easier and much cheaper. It's basically the freedom that it provides. The freedom that we can travel anywhere we want, whenever we want, as much as we want. The only limitation is how much you spend on gas. So here I am on vacation. I've been on vacation since March 2nd, and I haven't had a single hotel room yet.
And what are some of the challenges that you found with this lifestyle?
Biggest challenge with a van is probably not being able to shower, especially during the COVID thing. Heat and moisture are your biggest enemies, in my opinion. So you need to make sure you have ventilation. Insulation is fantastic, especially in the winter. Those were the biggest limitations I saw. So I'm not a heat person, but I made sure that I bought enough fans and made sure I have air conditioning on board for when it's really bad. The biggest word of advice I would give to anyone thinking about doing this is live in it before you build it. Experience it. Throw your camping gear in your van and go. It doesn't have to be fancy like this. Just go. Go have fun. And you will learn what you need and what you don't, and where you want things to be. Personally, the inside of my van, I've probably spent maybe $3,000, maybe. But a lot of it was material, and who does the actual work? So all in all, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that expensive. When you figure you need a vehicle anyways. I would recommend this lifestyle to anybody that wants freedom, wants adventure, craves that kind of thing. It's always freedom versus security. I always felt that if you have a house, you have all the security in the world. If you have a van, you have less security but more freedom. You can go and do what you want. Instead of paying rent, you can spend the money elsewhere. Definitely appeals to the adventurous spirit. There's two kinds of van lifers out there, right? You got the people that are in vans because they have to be in vans and they want to get out of them. that's not really a lot of fun. But when you choose to be in it and, you know, make it your own, it's the most freeing feeling you can imagine. I was watching videos about small houses and things like that, and how I love to travel, and I was getting ideas for an RV for myself. I was actually looking at Class Bs, I was looking at Class Cs, I was looking at some pretty big rigs, and then I found individuals who were living in cargo vans and just loving it because they could literally park anywhere. You know, you never have to worry about where you're going to sleep. So that's kind of why I decided to go with this, and I found this was the best balance for me on size. You know, Toyota Tercel might be a little small. You know, a class A is a little too big. You need to figure out where your happy spot is. And for me, it was a cargo van. The bigger the vehicle, the more comfortable you are. Challenges with that too, and the cost and the expense and the insurance. And take your time as well. Don't rush out and buy the first thing you see. You know, sit in them, go for drives, rent a van, maybe rent a van and go away for a couple of weekends. Just experience what it's like. Make sure it's for you. My personal philosophy on life. It's better to burn out than to rust out. That's my philosophy. I'm 48 years old and I'm just starting this journey now. Right? I probably wouldn't have done this if it weren't for the van life community, because everybody I run into were instant friends. I run into people like yourself and we're instantly friends. I mean, we met last night for the first time, right? So I'm surrounded by some of my best friends. Can't say enough about the van life community. Really, we all stick together, we help each other. It's awesome. My experience is this way of living is growing dramatically. We're seeing new people all over the place.
And do you have anywhere that you'd like to direct the viewers?
Just look it up on YouTube. Look up van life. Nothing to lose. Right, Mike?
Of course.